Thank you so much for joining us today. Before we begin, I want to announce that on September 7th, Finding Hope presents a Run for Hope. This is formerly known as our sobriety sprint. This event will have both in-person and virtual options. This is a family-friendly event to honor those that we have lost and spread hope to our communities. You can learn more, register, and honor your loved one at runforhoperace.com. But today I have a very special guest. We have Miss Julie Quinlan joining us today.
Hello.
In the last episode, we had your mom.
Yes.
And so this episode, I wanted to bring you on to hear your story and also the impact Finding Hope may have had on your story.
Yeah.
So let's just start out, though. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Julie Quinlan.
Mhm.
I am getting ready to turn 43 years old in a couple days.
So young.
So young.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
young. I'm 6 years sober.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I am a staff member for Hope is Alive, and I have been for the past coming up on 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I do a lot of traveling with my job, which is really exciting.
So where's your home base?
Wichita, Kansas.
Wichita,
Yes.
close to my home.
That's right.
Where I grew up.
That's right.
So, well, good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, we're so glad you're here. You're in town in Oklahoma City, so we got to bring you in on this. And this is just something I really wanted to do because your mom's story and your story has just been so impactful. And it's one I actually tell people a lot about.
Yeah.
But I want you just to start. This is your story. The last episode was your mom's story. And so just tell the listeners a little bit about, your journey to abusing substances.
Yeah. So, I grew up in a middle class, relatively normal family. Drugs and alcohol were never, at least that I was aware of, ever an issue with
Yeah.
anybody in our family. And for me, it just kind of started like recreationally,
Okay.
as a high school student is whenever I started experimenting. And I never really thought that it would lead to anything crazy down the road.
Mhm.
I never thought I'd have the story that I have today. But yeah, for me, it was peer pressure and just wanting to fit in
Mhm.
high school was where I was first introduced to it. But that's not where it really took off for me. It was very much just, like I said, experimental. Did it then because my friends were doing
Yeah.
it. And it wasn't until my late 20s, early 30s where it really ramped up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty normal stuff, I would say, for a teenage kid whenever I started.
So you wouldn't say you're addicted until your late 20s, early 30s.
Correct.
So tell us about that journey.
Yeah. So in high school, it was more like drinking, like partying on the weekends. When it progressed for me was whenever I found prescription opiates. Like prior to that, yes, I was doing way too much drinking and relying on that probably a little bit too much. But it was when I found prescription opiates in my mid to late 20s
Okay.
that things started to really like grab a hold of me and my life started to go downhill. I was introduced to opiates through an ex-boyfriend at the time. And like I said, we do it recreationally initially. He was able to put it down. I was not. And that just slowly grew and grew. The addiction got stronger as the years went by. And that just led to other addictions down the road. But my prescription opiate addiction was what sent me to detox for the first time.
What was that feeling? I mean, why do you feel like you kept running to it?
So for me, I first started going to it because that's like what everybody was doing. But once I had it in my body, once I started taking them, I realized I am much more talkative. People seem to like me more whenever I'm using these substances. I didn't really have it I didn't have a care in the world, it felt like.
Yeah.
I wasn't using them to hide from anything. I was using them because they made me feel better about myself,
Okay.
which I was not expecting at all. I just thought it was a party drug, but I didn't realize how much it would make me feel like I was whole whenever I was taking those.
That's really interesting. It made you feel whole.
Yeah.
But like, what as you're using and all that, how were you really feeling?
I as it got worse and I realized I was
Mhm.
getting physically dependent on them, it just made me feel just sad, and, like,
Mm.
I knew that I wasn't meant to be someone who was taking, you know, handfuls of pills throughout
Yeah.
the day. So it just made me sad, and, like, I couldn't talk to anybody about it, or I didn't think I could.
Mm.
We've never really experienced this in my family before, and so just empty and alone and weak to an extent. I felt like I had to put something in my body to be normal, so it just chipped away at my pride and my ego and just made me feel just yucky.
Yeah. So you started it in your early 20s or late 20s, I'm sorry, early
Yes.
30s. And as it progressed, how was your family impacted by it all?
Yeah. So prior to especially my pill use, my family was really close.
Mm.
My parents were divorced, but I had a good relationship with both of them.
Okay.
Especially with my mother in my early adult years, that relationship really started to grow. And so we did all sorts of things together. We vacationed together. We'd go out to eat. We do, family stuff.
Mhm.
And when that addiction hit, like I said, I didn't talk to anybody about it. I tried to hide everything. I tried to have this exterior like I have it all together.
Mhm.
Um, and and that just eventually that just tore us apart because I didn't tell him about it. Eventually, I just started to pull away.
Mhm.
I started to miss work. I started to show up late or not at all to family functions. Um, and all the while, they have no idea what's going on. I was just slowly pulling back.
And your mom mentioned that. She said, like, all of a sudden, it's almost like you went away
Yeah,
and those weren't her exact words, but like you were there and then you weren't there.
yeah. I was too ashamed to talk to them. And it's weird. I was a grown adult, but I didn't want to get in trouble. In a weird, that just I don't know how else to
No,
say that, but
it's
I didn't want to be looked down on. I was embarrassed. And I didn't know even what to say.
mhm,
I didn't even realize, I think at that time, how addicted I actually was. I just knew something wasn't right. And I don't want to show them. I didn't
mm,
want them to look at me any differently. So instead of talking to them about it, I bolted.
mhm.
I just left.
So that shame started to consume you
Yes.
in a sense,
100%.
right? That shame
Yes.
that we all carry
Yeah.
of that. And your mom she didn't use that word shame, but she's, carrying it. She said,
Yeah.
I didn't want to go talk to friends. I didn't want to do that.
Mhm.
And which is interesting because I think I've done some research and you guys, those that struggle with substances go through the same thing that we do as loved ones.
Right.
Your mom talked about isolation, depression, and we carry that shame. And you are doing the exact same thing,
Yes.
masking it, doing all those things.
Yes.
So, what you're in your addiction, what were some of the consequences while you're in your addiction?
First and foremost, disconnection with my
Mm,
family. Like I said, I didn't just leave and then come back and leave. I left.
mhm,
I completely stopped talking to all of my family. But beyond that, I had lost my job. I
mm,
had a home in Yukon, Oklahoma, very nice home. Slowly, I stopped paying on that, and I ended up squatting in my own home that I
mm,
owned. Um, I lost all my friends. Eventually, I started getting in trouble with the law,
mm,
because at that point, I had turned to harder drugs. And because I lost all my good friends, I was reaching for any friend that would be around me. And in that world, the ones that are going to be around you are the ones that want the drugs that you have. So
mhm,
not the people you really want to be around. So because I was around those people, I ended up getting in a lot of trouble with the law. A
mhm.
lot of trouble with the
How many
law.
times were you arrested?
11 times in a year and a half.
In a year and a half,
And mind you,
11
I had
times.
no record prior to my first arrest for drugs.
And how old were you?
I didn't get arrested the first time. I want to say I was 38, 37, 38.
Okay.
Yeah. And my first charge was for drug trafficking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what was going through your mind, if you can even remember, through all these arrests? Like, there's so many of us that are, I always tell my people, our Finding Hopers, that we don't know what your rock bottom is or
Yeah.
that place of desperation. We think, oh, an overdose might do it,
Yeah.
or losing the family, or getting arrested. You're arrested 11 times.
Yeah.
That's crazy to
Yeah.
me. So like, what was going through your mind through all these arrests?
At the time, the only thing that was going through my mind was how can I get out and when can I get my next fix?
Wow.
That was it. I thought I had found my people. I thought I
Mm,
found the ones that were going to love me and support me and get me through this. I was very wrong. But I really didn't care about anything else other than getting out of jail and getting high again.
yeah.
I mean, I wasn't care. I didn't care about when I ate next or slept next, like normal
Yeah.
functions. I didn't care about any of that. It was when was I going to get high again?
Wow.
Yeah,
That's so crazy to
yeah,
me, like on the
yeah.
outside,
It's crazy
that's
thinking
what,
about it.
yeah, that's what the brain does.
Yeah.
The addictive brain does. It's like, I need it. How I describe it, and you might be able to describe it better. This is what I need to survive.
Yep.
I don't need that food.
Yep.
I don't need the water. I need this drug to be able to wake up to do the next thing, right?
I
Like,
needed it to do everything. Especially whenever I was really addicted to opiates, I had that physical dependency where I couldn't
mm,
get out of bed unless I had a pill or two or
I was gonna say,
three.
how many did you take a day, do you think?
Oh gosh, upwards of 20 plus a day.
Mm,
And it depended on what it was. But I mean, I had to have something I mean, to even reach over and grab your phone. Like it was just ridiculous. Whenever I chose to start using meth, I felt that I was like Superman. And so of course I needed it just to live, life to the extreme
yeah.
that I was
Yeah.
doing.
Yay.
Yeah, I felt like I could do anything whenever
Mm.
I was using that drug. And so that's the thought that was in my head every time I was sitting in a jail cell was like scheming, how can I get out to get that high to just do all this all over
I
again?
think that's real important. I'm gonna sit there. So you were
Yeah.
sitting in jail thinking, how am I gonna get out of jail to get my next fix?
Mhm.
I talk to parents and spouses and all the time. Like I even tell my husband and my kids that are young, I will never bail you out of jail, right?
Yeah.
And so many times parents do.
Yes.
A lot of the times, oh, I'm promised this time. They
Mhm.
tell a sob story. But
Yeah.
in reality, your brain is telling you, your thoughts are like, I just need to get out of here to get my next fix.
And I'll say whatever I can say to do that. I was one of those kids. So the first case I got, my first felony was for drug trafficking
Okay.
halfway across the state.
Wow.
I did call my parents, and I can't remember exactly what I said to
Hmm.
them, but I'm sure it was along those lines of I'll do anything, just get me out, all the things.
Hmm.
Knowing good and well that I was going to bolt the minute I
Yep.
got out. So I'm definitely one of those. But I remember, yeah, I remember like scheming almost
Mm.
like the whole time I'm sitting there in jail, just scheming of a way that I can figure it out, how to get out, get high, go do what I want to do. And it was just a cycle. Every single time I got arrested, it was like that. And my mom did a great job at not bailing me out of jail.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
She did a great job. I asked,
Yeah.
but they laid a boundary really, really quickly that
Hmm.
first time I called her. In fact, they came to the jail and spoke with me, and I was angry and crying and all of the things,
Mm.
anything I could say or do to manipulate them, I was doing. But they held firm. They
Wow.
didn't bail me out, and
And that's
I,
hard being a female, a
yeah,
daughter, right?
oh yeah,
And knowing you're in jail and
yeah,
look at her sobbing and this woe to me story, like,
yeah.
wow, that's really incredible.
But I'm sure they saw because as soon as they said no, my attitude changed from crying to yelling and just being
Mm.
hateful. And those are things I regret now. But I
Mhm.
didn't even in the moment. That's not my brain was not thinking about the things I would regret
Well, and I
later.
talk to people like that wasn't Julie.
No,
That was your addiction
hundred
talking.
percent.
And that we have to separate the two. Like
Yeah,
you're Julie right now,
yeah,
but when substances become a part of you, that's your addiction
hmm,
talking.
totally.
And that we have to remember the words that they say and all of that. That's where we have to have those boundaries.
Mhm.
We have to walk away. We have to delete the text messages, not answer the calls,
Yeah.
whatever we need to do to not hear the addiction talking.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I can't even remember all of the horrible things I said or implied to my parents whenever
Mm.
I spoke to them. But I also learned in that moment that they're not going to help me out of this situation. So I don't know if it was good or bad, but I didn't call them after that for the rest of the arrest. I mean, maybe once
Mhm.
I had called them, but I knew that my mom had some pretty firm boundaries that, unbeknownst to me at the time, she learned from attending Finding Hope.
Yeah. So let's get to the place where you had your 11 arrest and all
Yes.
of that. And now eventually you make it into prison.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Yeah. So my last arrest resulted in me just sitting out in the jail cell
Mhm.
until my court dates. The judge did not give me a bond because I kept running or I kept getting
Mm.
bonded out. But he had had enough. So I was sitting there in the jail cell and I was just done. I didn't know I wanted recovery, but I knew
Mm.
I was done running. And so I remember calling my mother and not asking for anything. In fact, I think I said, I'm not calling to ask for money or for help. I'm just letting you know where I am. And so that kind of started the restoration of our relationship. They were at the court hearing when they sentenced me to a 10-year prison sentence, um, which I pled guilty to. And there I went to Eddie Warrior Correctional Center in Oklahoma. I ended up having to serve a year and a half of my 10 years. I did a program while I was there, stayed sober the whole time I was in prison. But what the coolest thing was is my parents were there at least once a month to visit me and build those relationships. I got to meet my niece on the prison yard.
She said that. Like, how
It's so
crazy.
crazy. Like, what a story to tell her, when the time's right.
Yeah. That's how you got your name, right?
Sissy.
Yep.
I am Sissy, but it's just so crazy that like that's where I met this cute little being was on a prison yard. But that really is where all of this restoration really started to come back. I didn't know that I was going to be in recovery. I didn't know that I was going to be where I am today, but it all started right there. Prison saved my life. It really
Wow.
did.
I hope people hear that. Like,
Yeah.
prison saved your life.
Yeah.
And that's incredible. So you said you were only there a year and a half.
Mhm.
So tell us about that.
Yeah,
What happened?
so I got a 10-year sentence.
Okay.
My balance was suspended upon completion of a program called the Regimented Treatment Program in
Okay.
Eddie Warrior, which is a drug treatment
Mhm.
program, very military style. And I really did well at that, actually. And like I said, I stayed sober the whole time. Learned some things while I was in there. But no matter how like much our relationship was restored, my parents still said, you can't come home when you get out of there. We'll help you find somewhere to go, but you can't come home.
Mhm.
And so I just said, okay, where do I need to go? What do I need to do?
Mm.
Um, but but prison ended up being a really good experience for me. It's weird to say that, but like it saved my life. It made me grow up, and it also made me realize that I don't ever want to go back.
Mhm.
And drugs and stuff were prevalent on the yard; they were there, but I never picked up. I've been sober since February 18th, 2018, the last day I got arrested.
That's
Yeah,
incredible. That's
yeah,
incredible. So you got out in a year and your mom said you can't come
that's
home.
right.
So where did you go?
So she told me over the phone
Mhm.
and on our visits that she knew about Hope is Alive
Okay.
through a support group she found called Finding Hope. We didn't dive in a lot to what it
Yeah.
was, but I just knew that's what it was called. So she sent me a brochure and some books in the mail that allowed me to get a little bit of information. She gave me who was then my program manager, Amanda's phone number.
Mhm.
And I called Amanda from prison, also from county jail, way before that. But I called her from prison, serious about wanting to come in. And I left the yard. And 6 days after that, I moved into the Oklahoma City Women's Home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and now
Been here ever since.
yeah, how long were you in our program before graduating?
So I worked the program for 2 years,
Okay.
and I graduated in 2021. So
Okay.
came in 2019, graduated in 2021. I came on staff in 2020, which is when I moved to Wichita,
Mhm.
and still currently on staff today.
Yeah, and you're thriving. I
Yeah,
love it.
it's crazy.
And so you, as your role now, you talk to a lot of parents and
Yes.
spouses and
Yes.
all of that. So what would you tell someone who has someone in active addiction right now?
Yeah. For the parents, I draw from my mom's story a lot,
Mm,
because I'm not a parent. I don't know what
mhm,
that's like.
mhm,
So, the one thing I tell to parents a lot, or that I preach about a lot, is setting those boundaries and not enabling.
mhm.
Because, my parents didn't enable me, and I ended up, yeah, I took a long route, but I ended up being okay. Um, that they've got to figure it out on their own. They've got to ask for help, because being forced into getting help, you're never gonna, it's never really gonna latch on.
Yeah.
Like, they have to want it themselves.
Well, and I'm going to back up a little bit. You said the first time you called your mom from jail,
Yeah.
you said she didn't help me. But
Yeah.
I'm going to flip it. She did help you.
This is true. Yes.
She didn't bail you
That's
out and
correct.
enable.
Yeah.
She helped you by keeping you there, knowing, okay, I can't. And I think people, we talk about enabling is doing for others what they can't do for
Yeah.
themselves. Helping is doing things that, they can they truly can't do.
Right.
But I think your mom actually helped you by not
Yeah.
answering that call.
I see that now, which is it's so crazy, because I just remember being so mad at her
Yeah.
because she wouldn't help out her oldest daughter.
Mhm.
But now when I talk to parents, I tell them the same things.
Yeah.
It's going to feel uncomfortable, and you're going to feel like you're not doing the right thing. But from my experience, my personal experience with this, that is the best way to help them.
Mhm.
Sometimes they'll end up in jail, and that might be where they need to be. It saved my life.
Yeah.
And it's okay. They'll be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I asked your mom the same thing.
Okay.
What would you tell your mom today? She was here.
And I would tell her, thank you. Thank you for picking up the phone when I was ready. Um, I always want to apologize for the things that I did, but man, she was there whenever I was ready to make a change. And it's still there today. Still
Mhm.
really invested in my life and in my recovery, and she didn't have to be.
Yeah. And I like that I can see the emotion,
Yeah.
and she got a little emotional too. Even how many years already? 5 years? Sober?
So
6?
I've been sober
Mhm.
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah,
Like, it's still raw,
it is.
but there's so much healing
Yeah.
and hope, and the fact that your mom leaned on God through it all and truly surrendered you, she talked
Yeah.
about, to God, but she could tell when she picked up that phone that time that she said
Yeah.
exactly what you said. And you haven't even listened to the
No.
podcast yet about saying where you were, that you're safe, you didn't need anything. And
Yeah.
she could sense that change in you and built that relationship she talked about while visiting you
Yeah.
too. So I'm just so proud of both of
Thank
you
you.
and for like all that you guys have done, your transparency, your vulnerability, because this is what people need to hear.
Yeah.
This is hope. And though you started in late 20s, it took you quite a bit of time
Yeah.
before you sought help and you were ready at
Yep.
that place of desperation we talk
That's
about.
right.
So, thank you for that.
Yeah.
And just what you've done in Kansas and Wichita and, all these ladies that look up to you and that you're leading because you surrendered as
Yeah.
well and said yes.
Yes.
So, thank you for being with me. And thank you for
You're
always being the
welcome.
biggest Finding Hope person.
I am.
Yes, yes, yes. She's wearing her Finding Hope shirt
Yep.
here.
Very close to my heart.
Yes. And this also just goes to show, and you can say that when the family gets healthy and well
Yeah.
first, it gives the opportunity for our loved ones.
For sure. I wouldn't be where I am in this chair if my mom didn't reach out for help way back when Finding Hope first started happening. If
Yeah.
she didn't do that, we wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah. Yes, we
God
all
works
need,
in crazy ways.
yes. So thank you again for joining
You're
us. And
welcome.
so I like to leave with a challenge.
Okay.
And so one of the first challenges I heard you say was set those boundaries.
Yes.
They're going to feel uncomfortable. They're not going to feel right because you're so used to doing it. But remember, the boundaries are to protect you, to protect us, not to protect our loved ones. We have to protect ourselves in this, protect our sanity, to our financial,
Yeah.
our, spiritual. All those boundaries are for us.
That's right.
That we're so used to the chaos that sometimes when we do set those boundaries, it feels more chaotic at first.
Yeah.
I actually described it at our North Carolina retreat like an open wound.
Yeah.
You got to clean it out.
Yep.
It's not feel good. And then it's going to get crazy and yucky, but at the end, the healing comes.
That's right.
And then the way we can help our loved ones, this is our next challenge, is to stop enabling.
Yes.
So my challenge is, where are you know that you are enabling? I get that phone call all the time. I know I'm enabling. I know I'm enabling. So where are you enabling that you need to stop? And the way you can get that support is to get plugged into a meeting. So thank you again so much for joining me this week. You can learn more about Finding Hope at FindingHope.Today, as well as Hope is Alive. If you want to get connected to Hope is Alive in our program at hopeisalive.net. Yeah. And don't forget to also begin to register for our Run for Hope at runforhoperace.com. I would also love for you to give us a 5-star review, share this on social media, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next hope-filled episode. Thanks again for joining me, Amy LaRue, and special guest Julie Quinlan on this episode of Finding Hope. And remember, you are not alone. It's not your fault. There is hope.